Hi there, it's Tom Whitlock here for another episode of AskTom. Today we're joined by Pullin, financial advisor for Clifton. Keir, how are you? You all good?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Tom?
Good, yeah, all good this side. Now today the topic of the video is around pension consolidation and why someone might do this. And I suppose the first question, Keir, that we probably need to cover off for people watching at home is, what do we mean when we talk about pension consolidation?
Yeah, sure. So pension consolidation is essentially combining all of your various pension pots into one. So quite often you'll find over your working career that you'll work for various companies who each have their own pension scheme set up. So you might have paid into several pots over your working life. So you may even have your own pension schemes if you've spent time self-employed as well. And it's not uncommon for people to be juggling more than 10 pots when they actually come to retirement. So it can also be easy to lose track of those pots over time as well when you change jobs. And the Department for Work and Pensions anticipate that around 757 billion pots are left unclaimed. So if you need to be reunited with a pension, you can contact the government's free pension tracing service and they'll help you to locate your lost pensions.
Sounds good. I mean, that's 757 billion reasons why someone might want to do this. But generally speaking, is it an exercise in tidying up for most people? What are the main reasons that someone would get in touch to consolidate their pensions?
Yeah, sure. So having lots of different pots obviously makes it quite difficult to keep track of your retirement savings, but also to see how the investments within those pots are performing. So consolidating your pension will help to give you more control over your money, and also helps you to keep on track with your retirement goals ultimately. And the less paperwork you'll have to do, and it could also help to possibly save you money for the long term.
Absolutely. I mean, the paperwork one is obviously a massive positive with this. Say getting 10 statements a year, you're just going to get one where all your money's in one place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I suppose the headline, what are the pros of doing something like this beyond what we've already covered off? And I suppose really for balance, what are some of the cons of doing this as well?
So in my view, really, there's three main categories in terms of pros. Your investment performance, the charges on your pensions, and simply just making your life easier. So some pensions you'll find have better investment options than others, and by consolidating your pensions you can take advantage of the better investment options and at the same time get rid of the underperforming pensions. I would say that's probably the biggest reason to consolidate your pensions, as ultimately the investment performance plays the biggest role in how much your pension is worth, and the pension income that you'll receive when you eventually retire.
And what about the downsides, Keir?
Okay, so really some types of defined contribution plans, they can have additional benefits which you may lose if you move that pension money. These things include guaranteed annuity rates, which essentially is the rate at which your pension money would be turned into an income. Or you may have a higher than normal tax-free lump sum entitlement. Usually the tax-free cash maximum entitlement is 25%, but in some circumstances it can be more. Also, some other types of pension with certain funds in, they may have a reduction upon transfer due to sort of a sustained fall in the stock market, or when investment returns have been lower over a prolonged period. So that's also a factor worth considering. And additionally, some other pensions do actually have exit penalties for switching, which obviously then could deplete the size of the pot. So that's also something worth mentioning. For most people, asking a financial advisor to look at the pension would be the best option, just to make sure everything's been taken into account. Of course, there is advice fees for that. And in terms of how the client plays their part in that, they will need to look out for all of the policy numbers and addresses and provide those to the advisor. So there is a little bit of organisation on their part as well.
Absolutely. And I suppose this obviously, can sound like a complicated process, pulling all of these things together. Keir, as a financial advisor, where would you come into the process, and what value do you add?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of how we would come into the picture, so a financial advisor, with the permission of ourselves as the client, can contact all of the various pension providers and get details on those schemes. We would then carry out what's called personal fact finding, to get to know someone as a client, understand their circumstances, their retirement objectives, appetite for risk, and also capacity for risk. And we'd analyse and use that information to write a personalised report, which would then clearly explain if consolidating those pension pots in particular would be in that person's best interests. We'd also highlight any potential drawbacks that they should be aware of, and the report will give you an overview of your current pension arrangements and make comparisons of any investments that we potentially recommend. And that would include the charges and performance. And the cost of the advice would also then be fully disclosed at that point. An advisor would also recommend a transfer if they were absolutely confident that it was in the best interests. And upon receiving those reports, it would then be down to the client what they wish to do next. If they did decide to go ahead with the report, the advisor would fully manage that transfer process of the pensions into one pot through to completion.
Certainly. So it sounds like you'd obviously pay, a lot more attention to what's under the hood of a lot of these pensions than they may have done previously, because they've just been put into a standard fund with their employer, which will get you so far. But this sounds like a much more tailored and boutique process that sounds like it could be a lot of help to a lot of people. Yeah,
absolutely. And especially as the charges that are levied by a particular pension plan, when you have older plans, can actually be a lot higher than some of the newer plans. So I think that's another important consideration when looking at this. And obviously the administration that is going to be a lot easier and a lot less to deal with when you come to that point of retiring. It's just a lot less plans to deal with overall.
Absolutely. Well, Keir, I think we'll probably leave that there. I know you've got a lot to be cracking on with this afternoon. So thank you very much for joining us today and for imparting that knowledge on all of us there. If there is anyone at home that might be interested or may have a load of pensions from previous employment that they may have lost track of, that they might think would be better served in one pot, I'll make sure that contact details are below. Do get in touch. We'll happily have a look at the situation and show where we can add value to that. Remember to subscribe to the channel for future videos and updates. And if you have any topics that we haven't covered yet, simply get in touch and we'll do our best to turn something around for you. But for now, thank you, Keir, for your time.
No problem, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone at home, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.